You are listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Studio MacGyver, and this is Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast, episode number 8. Got a little bit to talk about today. Want to talk about Dragon Ball Super episode number 79. It was nice. I really enjoyed myself with this episode. I'm really excited about this arc, man. Can't wait to see what happens. Majin Buu went up against Basil, and it was a nice little fight, man. It was nice. There were some points in there where I had asked myself some questions. One in particular was one where I guess Basil was in trouble and he needed to power up. So somebody tossed him something that looked like some kind of weird kind of fruit. He ate it, and then it gave him it kind of reminded me of like the fruit from the tree of might. It kind of had an effect similar to that in a sense. It was cool though. I really enjoyed it. So basically we're left, basically it was 3-on-3, Universe 9 versus Universe 7, which is us. And the Omni Kings, they want to see blood. They want to see, fists flying. And it was Majin Buu versus Basil. That was the first fight. And then there's going to be Gohan versus Lavender, which is one of the other brothers of the clique. So basically, Universe 9 has selected three fighters, and they're all three. They look like, I don't know, werewolves almost in a sense, and they're all brothers. And I'm guessing that the youngest up to the oldest is how they go by strength and maybe abilities. The only one I've seen though is Basil fight, and he uses his fists. He uses his feet a lot. Like, he's really good with his feet, whatever. So all his techniques are basically composed of like everything pretty much done with his legs or feet. So interesting to see how that's gonna transpire. I don't want to, like I say, I don't like giving away spoilers. Maybe, I will think about changing that and just talk about the actual episode and everything in there, because I'm sure a lot of people want to actually hear what happened, from start to finish. And I just basically am getting caught up in, maybe people don't want to know, and maybe they just want to go see it for themselves or whatever, but I'm kind of battling with that right now. I'll figure it out though, and make a decision on that. But as of right now, I don't want to just give everything up. So I just want to talk about some of the things that happened and, encourage you guys to go watch it. Because if you listen to this podcast, you got to be interested in Dragon Ball, right? So, but I can say that it is definitely my favorite arc to begin so far up until this point. And this is just like this fight is just like a exhibition match. So this is not even a real tournament arc. The real tournament is like 10-on-10. So each universe has to select 10 fighters. So this is just like a taste of what's to come. Can't wait. You guys need to check it out. It's online, available everywhere pretty much. You can watch it. I think YouTube, Facebook, Crunchyroll, everywhere. So get out there and check it out if you haven't seen it. On that note, I'm gonna cut the Dragon Ball talk for a little bit, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of some news. Yeah. Well, if you are into the handhelds, you might want to get ready for this Sony's next project. They have apparently registered a patent on a new handheld that they are going to be working on in the future. And it looks to be similar to the Nintendo Switch, as far as the cosmetics, the shape of it, or whatnot. So I don't know what to think of that. I mean, that's pretty much the basic news that I got. They're not divulging too much information, but we all do know now that they are working on another handheld. So maybe Sony gets everything right on this one, and it doesn't fall short like, the last one did. Because the last one, in my opinion, was a pretty dope system. It just didn't have the content, it needed to flourish, in my opinion. Maybe they get that right this time. Like I said, I have no idea what it's going to be capable of doing, but I'm assuming it's going to be stronger than the last handheld. So I don't know. Might be looking forward to this one. Nintendo right now has the championship belt on the handhelds right now, and they've had that for many years up until this point. It's going to be a hard sell to knock them off of that. But maybe Sony might be able to find something and get it done. We shall see. Also, Bethesda. Yes. Elder Scrolls, Fallout, those guys. They are talking about working on some projects. Supposedly they're working on not one, not two, but 3 projects right now in the making. So I guess if you're a fan of Bethesda, you have some great things to look forward to. I love Fallout and Elder Scrolls, so I will be waiting. So yeah, man, it's good to hear some of these companies out here that a lot of us gamers are fond of are out there getting putting in working on stuff. So yeah, man. And that's my news for this episode. Just a little taste. I don't always give it, but I felt that these 2 things were worth talking about, so I went ahead and threw that in there. Yeah. Now, what I want to talk about this episode is I want to talk about my favorite developers, my favorite game developer, which is technically it's 2 companies, but they're one and the same, if you will. TeamICO, a lot of you guys know that name, and genDESIGN. Excuse me, I've been drinking a little bit of my Miller Lite, so yeah, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I want to talk about The Last Guardian and why that game was so beautiful, man. And a lot of gamers just don't understand, I don't think. Especially like a lot of the younger gamers, they don't realize what this is, and how deep it goes. And I have to compliment the other 2 projects, which are Eco and Shadows of the Colossus, for that. If you guys don't know about these games, you guys really need to get into these games. If you guys, any PS3 owners still out there, and you don't have Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, you need to get it. There's actually a game out where you can actually get both titles on one disc. It's in its HD version. They come with trophies. They come with all the bells and whistles. 60 frames per second, all of the goodies that HD remakes come with, and they're both on the same disc. You can't get any better than that. The problem is, when The Last Guardian came out, a lot of these games got sucked up by curious gamers after playing that and wanted to know more about the team, the game company. So, probably Google them or whatnot, and come to find out that they had 2 other titles out. And these are most likely, I'm talking about the younger gamers. So what they did was go out and bought the game. So they're a little harder to find now, but it's still possible. I think they can actually even be downloaded if you go to the shop on PS4. So yeah, with your PS3. I think that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, man, I'm gonna get into these games a little bit and tell you why I think they're so special. And I know there's thousands of gamers that will agree with me on this subject. Okay, I want to start with ICO, because this is where pretty much it begins. It was the first game to come out on the PlayStation 2. It came out in 2001, I believe. Yeah, man, 2001. And it was basically about a young boy around the age of 12 who was born with horns. And what happened was, where he's from, if you are a boy or a child born with horns, then that signifies an omen or a curse. So what has to happen is, when the boy reaches a certain age, which is usually around 12 years old, they have to basically exile the child from the village, and not just tell him, oh, go, you have to leave. They actually physically take him to a place where they take all the boys who are born with this impediment, if you will, and they lock them in a small tomb where they eventually starve to death. So they're taking him to this tomb, and when they reach the tomb, there are hundreds of these small tombs just made for boys like him, and they stick him in there and they lock his hands inside, and they tell him that they are sorry they have to do this, but it's for the good of the village. Because if they don't do it, what actually starts to happen is, being a curse and being a black omen, and those horns are signifying that, what begins to happen is crops won't grow, the village will be hit with plagues, all kinds of terrible things rain down on the village. So to prevent all that, they have to get rid of, per se, the child in question. So when I saw that at the beginning, I was like, man, that's fucked up. I mean, I was already in after that. So they lock him in this castle. It's an abandoned castle. It's basically a giant death trap. Even if he would manage to get free, which he actually did, getting out of that castle was going to be damn near impossible. But he met this girl who was actually chained up as well, and he found a way to free her. And the crazy thing about this game is they don't understand each other. They speak two different languages completely. So basically, you're you made a friend, but you don't necessarily know how to communicate, all you do is you grab her hand and you try to tell her and signify things for her to do, and she tries to understand you and help you. So basically you find out that you need each other to get out of this booby trap of a castle. But at the same time, you have the girl's mother, who is the queen of the castle, and she's not trying to let you guys get out. She has her own dark and just evil motives, that she doesn't want you guys making it. She wants the boy to die, and she wants to take her daughter's body, and she needs the boy's spirit and all the boy's spirits to basically give her energy. So that's like her fuel, and she can't let them escape. So basically the whole game you spend trying to find 2 ways out to make it to the next area, because you have a way that you can get out, but she's not as strong as you, so she cannot do the same things you can do. So you have to find your way out and then figure out another way for her to come as well. And all the while, if you're separated too long from her, these demonic dark shadows will come and they will take her away. So you have to figure out a way to make it and keep her safe at the same time. I will say that this game, it's got a dark tone to it, and it's also got a beautiful look as well to it. I don't know, I can't describe it. It's not just a game, in my opinion. It's like a piece of art, and you will not understand that until you play it. Even to this day, if you played it today, I feel that it holds up pretty good. Not as good as Shadows of the Colossus, but it still holds up pretty well, in my opinion. Especially if you got the HD version. So I advise any gamer that is interested or who has played The Last Guardian to check these games out. But that's what that game is, ICO. That's basically the base of that title. And I don't want to get all the way into the game. I can just tell you that the ending is it's heartbreaking. It's realistic and it's heartbreaking. And that's another reason why I love this company so much, because they don't tell your typical story, where the heroes always win and find a way through and make it, No, the hero doesn't always make it. Sometimes the hero dies. Sometimes it's a tragedy. You know what I mean? And that's all I will say on that. I'm not going to give it away from anybody who might want to play it, but the guys who have, you know what I'm saying. This is part of the reason why I fell in love with this company. And they only did much better on their next title, which took another 4 years. In 2005, Shadows of the Colossus was born. Oh my God, this game. This is my favorite game of all time. This is my favorite game of all time. It's close. It's right up there. I mean, up until The Last Guardian dropped. And then now, I mean, they're kind of neck and neck now. But this game, you cannot deny this game. Now, even ICO, as good as ICO was, Shadows was, they were doing things back then in 2005 that companies still can't do today. As an example, on the PlayStation 2, this game, Shadows of the Colossus, there was no load time. There was no loading time. You could go anywhere on the map and explore to your heart's content, and there was no load screens. Anywhere you saw, you basically there was a way you could traverse and get there. I mean, nobody was doing that at that time. They were giving you, this game is literally a piece of art. I'm telling you, this game is art. It's a very dark game. It's desolate. It's very dark. And it's basically about a boy, a young man. He's a little older than ICO was. He was probably, between 18 and 20, maybe. And it starts out with him on horseback, and he has a body with him, a dead body, wrapped in a blanket. So he's traveling a long way. He's going through, creeks and valleys and all this stuff. And he's going somewhere. He's trying to get to a certain place. And he gets there. And when he gets there, that's when the game begins. He takes the body, he takes it into this tomb, and he lays it out on the tomb. Next thing you know, there's this voice. It has no figure, it has no body. You just hear a voice. It's some kind of demonic voice. And it's telling him, why are you here? And he pulls out this sword, this sacred sword, which later you find out he stole to get to the place he was at. And the whole reason why he came where he came was because he wanted to bring back this young girl. Nobody knows who she is to him. We don't know if it's sister. We don't know if it's his lover. We don't know. We don't even know the main character's name. They never tell us. That's what is so beautiful about these guys, man. They keep you, it's just the way that they do their shit, man. But basically he wants to bring her back. And the only way to do that, the demon tells him, is there are 16 statues in this tomb. They're all different. And he tells him, if you want to bring her back, the only way you can do so is if you kill 16 colossi, 16 beasts. So basically you have to ride out in search of each one in a separate part of this world or land, and then you have to take them out one by one. And only then will you be granted life for this young girl. But he also warned the boy. He told him, it's going to come at a great cost. Are you willing to accept that? And the boy said, yes, I just want her back. I will do anything. So the boy asked him, where are these creatures located? He said, that sword you have, it will lead the way. So basically, if he raises the sword in the air and you get a reflection off the light, off of the sun, basically it will emit a beam. And whatever direction that beam is pointing, that is the direction you travel. And you travel that direction long enough, you will eventually find what you're looking for. It basically leads you to where you need to go. This game is so awesome. All it is boss battles. That's it. 16 boss battles. And you're trying to find them. And the world that they created, you could tell that people used to, inhabit this land. But something happened, and I don't know what happened. They never tell you, never find out, but it's abandoned and it's desolate now. And these creatures are the only things that are living there. It's beautiful and dark at the same time, and they did it so well. And the ending on this as well, you want to talk about tragic? It's also tragic. And it takes place in the same universe as ICO did. And what I found interesting about it is that Shadows of the Colossus was actually the prequel to ICO. So the events that happened in Shadows of the Colossus were actually what led to everything happening in ICO. In other words, Shadows of the Colossus is basically an origin story of the boy with the horns. So basically the first boy being born with horns happens, and it explains how that came to be in Shadows of the Colossus. And that's all I will say on that. The ending is impeccable. It's tragic. It's dark. And like I said before, why I loved ICO is the same reason I fell in love with this one even more. But if you play them both, a lot of your questions will become answered, but there will also be more questions. They are masters at that, at answering some of the questions, but then leaving you asking more. But they give you just enough. So if you guys can get your hands on a copy, even if you just go online and check it out, YouTube, whatever. There's all kind of videos. There's all kind of explanations. Everything you need to know about these games, they're there. And then, that's basically what we were all waiting for. Us, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus fans were waiting for their next project. And when we got wind of it, which is The Last Guardian, everybody was holding their breath. I'm so glad I waited and I got the collector's edition of this title. I'm ecstatic, and it was worth every penny. Every fucking penny. That game also has to do with a boy and a creature. And that story was so well written. I didn't think anything could top Shadows of the Colossus, but god damn it, they did. Yeah, they killed it, man. Waiting for the book that they are going to be releasing soon, and it's going to supposedly give us a more in-depth look into the story of The Last Guardian, and I can't wait to get my hands on that. So, with that being said, that is my TeamICO and genDESIGN rant, or story, if you will. That's all the time I have today, guys. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this podcast will encourage some gamers to go out and pick out this game, find it, and experience it. I guarantee you guys, you will thank me for it. It is your boy, Studio MacGyver, and you've been listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast. If you want to leave a comment, if you want to email me, you can do so. You can hit me at Studio MacGyver on Twitter, or you can email me, Studio MacGyver Music with a K at yahoo.com. Thank you guys for listening. See you next time.